We will take both written and spoken questions, as I said.
My question is actually, I hope people won't mind me bringing up. I hope people won't mind me bringing up this topic, but I'm concerned about what the Islamic jurisdiction is on female circumcision, because there are a lot of shows I've been seeing on French channels nowadays that I've seen Muslim women sort of defending this, female circumcision, and saying that, this is Islamic and we don't have to discuss it, and all these other, non-Muslim women saying, well, trying to, debate the topic, and I'm not sure exactly what Islam's perspective is on it, so I was wondering if you could comment on it.
The female circumcision was a habit, was a urf, was a custom of some tribes in Arabia as well as in some parts of Africa. There is no hadith recommending it. It is not the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, but the male circumcision is the sunnah. And it is called khisal al-fitra, some of the things that part of the fitra, that is the nature, the natural cleanliness. But the female circumcision is not that way. It is not prohibited. Prophet ﷺ did not prohibit it, but again it is not recommended as well. And so it existed among some tribes, it existed in some areas, and sometimes this led even to some harm, physical harm to women, and certainly that is not right, and that is doing it in such a way that even depriving her of her own rights in her married life. Those things are important, that it should be avoided, and it will be haram to do something in that way. And so those customs sometimes led to wrong practices, mispractices, and this has nothing to do with Islam. Islam will not agree with that.
We have a follow-up question on polygamy, which is the permission of the first wife required for the second marriage? Yeah, according to Islam, obviously.
The permission of the first wife is not required, but it is good to, because amruhum shura bainahum, that is, whenever they do things, they should discuss among themselves, and the consultation is important. So consultation is important. They should have consultation and should try to explain to her what are the reason why he is doing that, but it is not a requirement. Suppose somebody got married, had second wife, without consulting or without taking permission from his first wife, he is not committing adultery. He will not be punished for adultery. It's very important to remember that there are many rules that have to be observed. One, that is that if a person is marrying more than one wife, then he should deal and he should treat both of them equally. And there are certainly situations here, especially in the United States, unless the law changes, I think that equal treatment is not possible, because the first wife will be considered as the legal wife, the other wife is not considered as a legal wife. So this is not equality, and unless people do that and change this thing, one has to understand this thing, that having the second wife in this situation is not fair, neither for the first wife nor for the second wife, especially for the second wife. So I certainly say that one has to consider that very carefully, because in many cases the second wife is going to suffer and her children are going to suffer, and this matter is serious matter. So one should not talk about that unless one has done some other work in changing the legislation on this topic.
Assalamu alaikum. I have a next batch of 3 short or reasonably short questions. One basically say, if a brother is married to 2 wives, can he sleep with both of them, fondling one while the other one is looking away? The answer is definitely no, because the basic rule, as the Prophet ﷺ taught, is that a man should not see the private part of another man, and a woman should not see the private part of another woman. So it's prohibited for both sexes even to have this, even within the same sex. And I think it's cruel and inappropriate to do this. If a person is married to more than one wife, then the privacy for each one of them should be respected, and equality in terms of treatment and spending time with them, not only in bed, I mean time with them, period. And spending also on the household needs should be equivalent. So the answer is definitely no. It's not right, it's un-Islamic, it's cruel. The second question is a bit frank, and I hope again you don't mind when we address issues like that. The question is whether oral sex is permissible in Islam or not. I must say first of all that we have to be clear on the terms we use, because some people might be using that term to refer to a sort of approach that may substitute actually for the actual intimate husband-wife type of relationship that is up to the fulfillment. Obviously, this is contrary to the objective of Sharia, which intends to satisfy both sides to the marital relationship in order to preserve their chastity and achieve the permissible pleasure permitted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The third question is also one that we can answer briefly, even though it could be a subject of a whole topic by itself. And the question basically is about cohabitation with, quote, with a slave girl. I must say in the first place that we should not fall into the trap that some of the opponents of Islam are putting for us, and we just walk right into it. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us to avoid dwelling too much on issues that are basically academic issues and not realistic issues. And to me, the question of slaves in general, whether a slave man or a slave woman, is within the structure of Islam in the 20th century totally irrelevant. It is a dead topic.
But one should try to wear proper dress, one should try to wear the proper hijab. That is necessary. It is not to put a special burden upon you, but it is rather to protect you, because the Quran says very clearly, فَلَا يُؤْذَيْنَ, so that say to the believing women that they should wear those things so that they will not be harmed, they will not be molested. That is the whole purpose, that is the whole value, that's why this rule is given.
Is it a major sin to enforce that the husband force his wife on sex anytime? Well, first of all, it is true that there are ahadith that discourage a wife from trying to deprive her husband from having, access to her. But in the meantime, one cannot take a text of Sharia alone out of context of other texts. Because other text in the Quran and Sunnah says that when you approach your wife, you don't just go like one hadith say, like animals go on each other. That even if the wife does not really desire so much, but her husband really is in great need, it would not be a good idea to deprive him, because that might hurt her own future if she keep repeating that, and then he might start flirting or doing something that is wrong. The idea is not to make a woman just like a piece of furniture available at any time.